How much is my inherited house worth?
Hey guys, I'm Brad, the Probate House Guy. Thanks for checking out this video today. By the way, I am an active real estate investor and a licensed real estate agent in the state of Georgia. And over the last 10 years, I have helped over 300 sellers get their property sold, whether that's a cash deal or listing it for them in the traditional fashion. I made all these videos because we've learned a thing or two about probate and estates over the last 10 years, and I'm just sharing my knowledge with you. By the way, I am not an attorney, nor do I claim to be an attorney, so please don't take anything that I say as legal advice. I highly suggest that you consult with a probate attorney or even a real estate attorney to discuss your unique situation and get some real legal advice from them. If you'd like to chat with us about the options on the property that you've inherited, we'd be happy to talk to you about that. You can go over to probatehouseguy.com and fill out the form there on the page, and a member of our team will be in touch with you ASAP. Anyways, let's get back to the video. Thanks.
So you want to know how much this house you've inherited is worth. And there's probably 1,000 different things you can find online that tell you what it's worth. But I'm going to kind of go through some of these things and sort of break them each down and give you the pros and cons of each, and help you sort of come to somewhat of an evaluation of your property based on these different tools you have available. By the way, nothing ever substitutes getting an actual formal appraisal. And in my opinion, it's worth, nowadays it's probably $500 to get an actual appraisal done by a licensed appraiser. I would highly advise you to get an appraisal from a licensed appraiser. You can also get what's called a BPO, broker's price opinion, from a real estate agent or a broker, something we could actually help you with. But let's break down sort of some of the stuff available to you online. First of all is the tax appraised value, and you should always take the tax appraised value with a grain of salt. At least where I'm located, it's generally slightly low, and the tax appraised value really doesn't take into account any of the factors that like a normal appraiser would use in valuing your house. For instance, so my tax appraised value is about 86% of what I would say is roundabout the actual value of my house today. So it's a little low. Some cases your tax appraised value can be higher. So you definitely want to, if you're paying property taxes and your valuation is too high, you definitely want to try to appeal that because you're paying more taxes than you need to. Now, I'm not going to get into the whole my opinions of property taxes and the fact that this is a tax on basically unrealized gains, but that's a whole nother story for another day. Anyways, so that's tax appraisals. Let's kind of push that away. Let's talk about an actual appraisal, like an appraisal done by a licensed appraiser. Now, you have to take all these with a grain of salt, okay? Because an appraisal that you might get done by like the bank for a loan you're getting versus an independent appraisal you might get from an appraiser could be different. Now, they could be similar, but they could also be different. Also, so you want to make sure that you hire an appraiser who knows your area and is an expert in your area. Now let's go over to Zillow. Everybody nowadays says, I can't tell you how many phone calls we get from people that says, Zillow says my house is worth X. Well, first of all, Zillow is not an appraisal. Now, what I will say about Zillow is if you live in like a cookie cutter neighborhood where all of the houses are exactly the same and there's not much variation between the houses, your Zillow valuation is probably pretty spot on. Now, the one thing that Zillow can't account for is they can't account for the condition inside your house. Zillow does not have pictures of the inside of your house. They don't know the condition of various things. They're literally just taking the data of all the sales in the area based on bedrooms and all that stuff, and they're putting it into their little algorithm and coming up with a value. Zillow can't factor in some of these other valuation things that matter, like condition and age of certain things in your house, and proximity to, Zillow doesn't know that maybe your house backs up to railroad tracks, right? Zillow doesn't know that your driveway is like this, but which, by the way, that affects, if you have a really steep driveway, it does affect the value of your house. Zillow cannot factor in certain things. Maybe you have a next door neighbor that, goes and sits out on his porch butt naked every morning. And anytime someone's tried to sell a house in that neighborhood, they can't. So therefore, the value goes down because of the crazy next door neighbor. Those are all real life things that affect values of homes, by the way. Like you think that's crazy, but I actually had a neighbor like that. He would go out on his front porch in his whitey tighties every day and drink his whiskey and smoke a cigar, literally sit out on his front porch. He lived like 3 doors down from me. Funny guy, but like kind of cuckoo. He eventually actually passed away from cancer. Maybe he already had cancer at that point. I don't know. But either way, that was always a laugh. I thought it was funny, but some people might find that appalling. But he was this big fat guy, and he would walk out on the front porch in his whitey tighties, and he would sit in his chair on the front porch and smoke his cigar and drink his whiskey like every single day. It was pretty wild. And the funny part was his wife. She was like an absolute saint. She was like the sweet church lady, you know, like just totally innocent and never said a cuss word and whatever. And her husband was the complete opposite of her, which is kind of funny because most marriages, you're complete opposites, right? Okay, so anyways, Zillow, you have to take that with a grain of salt. Zillow cannot take into account all of these other factors that do affect value. So like I said, take Zillow with a grain of salt. Now, additionally, like I mentioned, Zillow doesn't factor in repairs. And sometimes people will come to us and they say, well, you know, my neighbor down the street sold for X. And I go look at neighbor's house, and the neighbor down the street, their house was built at a similar time and stuff as theirs. But the neighbor's house is completely updated. It's got fresh paint inside and out. It's been updated. It's got new floors. It's got a new kitchen. It's got new appliances. It's got, you know, a new roof and new HVAC systems, and it's got all this new stuff. These people have put money into this house over the years and brought it up to current standards, whereas the house that we're presented by this person is like original from 1992, right? Nothing's been updated. It has the original carpet from 1992. It has all original stuff. It has, you know, the old appliances and you know, all this, like the roof is 25 years old and the HVAC system is 20 years old. And they come to us and they said, well, you know, we would like to get 500,000 because our neighbor down the street, he got 525,000. And it's like, I'm sorry, it doesn't work that way. Like for me to bring your house up to current standards would probably cost me every bit of, based on the size of it, $60,000 to $75,000, right? So I got to spend $60,000 to $75,000, and your neighbor's house only sold for $25,000 more than that, and theirs is in way better shape. So, or we get these where it's like not apples to apples. The neighbor's house is 5 bedrooms and theirs is 3, and the neighbor has a basement and they don't have a basement, or there's so many factors. So that's why I always say you should use an appraiser's value. And there's a difference between an after repaired value, which is what we use. It's called an ARV, or after repaired value. That's the valuation we use. Our math problem that we use to make offers on houses is completely based off of that. We look at what we can sell that house for, and we back up from there. So I look at, and by the way, I'm sharing the secret of the industry with you. This is the secret. Shh, be quiet. ARV minus repairs minus holding costs minus profit equals offer. Yeah, that's our magic formula. That's literally what I do. I look at what can I sell it for? What would it sell for? And it's fixed up, best condition offer, you know, top of market, good list price, you know, best presentation. What could I sell this house for? Minus what is it going to cost me to hold it and sell it, right? I've got holding costs, carry costs, selling costs. I'm an agent myself, so when I sell a house, I only pay 3% on the other side. I'm just paying the buyer's agent because I'm not personally taking a commission on the deal because I'm a licensed agent myself. So I've got that, and then minus what the repairs would be to get it to that point, right? Maybe it's 40, 50, 60, 100, 150, $250,000. I looked at a lake house on Lake Lanier recently, and our rehab budget came out to be $750,000. $750,000. Now, granted, this is a huge house on the lake that would sell for absolute premium top dollar. I'm talking $2 million house once it's all done on deep water on Lanier. But that gives you an example, right? Rehab budgets can vary wildly based off of the neighborhood. We always rehab to whatever the neighborhood standard is. Whatever all the other houses in the neighborhood are doing to their houses, that's what we do, right? We don't do what HGTV does and go make this absolute gorgeous TV-worthy rehab. You're wasting your money if you do that, in my opinion. Anyways, so there's a lot of factors in that. But yeah, sales price minus repair or minus holding selling costs, minus repairs, minus whatever profit I want to make. We're a for-profit business. We have to make a profit. I would not be able to pay my employees and stay in business if I didn't make a profit. And I have a minimum profit because especially in this market in 2026, things are very volatile right now. I've lost money on 3 deals in the last 12 months. I haven't lost money on deals in a long time. And I've got another one that I have still for sale right now that still hasn't sold yet. And it's been on the market forever. And I'm probably going to lose money on that house too. And all of these, when I ran my problem, I factored in a healthy profit margin. And now, since the market has changed and things have changed, my profit margin is gone. And I'm actually going to lose money on those houses. So it hurts to lose money. It's not easy, but anyways, guys, that's sort of your valuation on that. Now let's talk about renovating the house, right? I always say you can get the most amount of money for a house if you make it super nice, you fix all the things, you make it top notch, you make it presentable, and you price it right, and you list it with a good agent. You will sell a house for top dollar. You will make the most amount of money that way. But that all comes at a cost. And all of that is a time and a hassle and effort and costs money. Are you willing to put in that time, effort, and money to get the house to the next level, right? Managing contractors is not easy. By the way, a lot of the contractors we use, we get wholesale pricing, right? So we get prices less than what you as the average consumer would pay if you called Johnny Carpenter, right? And really, a lot of the trades that we use are subcontractors of Johnny Carpenter. Most people don't realize this, but if you pick up the phone and call Johnny Carpenter to come build you a deck or whatever, Johnny Carpenter then goes and hires the same subcontractors that we use to actually do the work, and he just marks it up because he's a licensed contractor, and he just kind of marks it up and makes money in the middle. That's how most general contractors work. That's how they do it. They hire subcontractors because each subcontractor has specialized fields that they do. Like I have tile guys, I have a carpet guy, I have a trim guy, I have painting guys, I have gutter guys. I have all these different guys that do specific individual tasks, and they just do that one thing over and over again, right? That's how contracting works. The subs are not jacks of all trades. They do 1, maybe 2 things, and that's it. So a general contractor has a phone book full of those people and manages the job and marks it up accordingly. So when I'm doing my projects, that's what I'm hiring all the subcontractors, and I'm managing the job and saving myself the contractor fee in the middle. So I can do things for a lot cheaper than you can, right? Now let's talk about time. This all takes time. In a renovation, there's sort of a little rule of thumb in our industry, which I don't know that it's 100% accurate, but for every $10,000 to $15,000 of rehab, that's 1 month of time, right? So think about that. Now, there are guys that can do it faster and guys that can do it slower. So it's a bit of a gray area, but that's kind of a rule of thumb, right? Now, also the hassles. Do you want to manage all these contractors? Do you want to manage? If you're going to manage with one contractor, you're going to pay for it, right? Are you willing to go through that? I don't know. Only you can answer that question, okay? Now, let's talk about selling as is, right? Now, you can list a house as is on the market, but one thing you have to factor in is what is the extent and the scope of the repairs involved to sell as is, especially today in 2026 when I'm making this video. The market today is completely different than the way the market was 2 or 3 years ago. You could sell an absolute turd on the market 3 years ago. Today, buyers are pickier than ever. They're paying the highest interest rate they've ever paid in a long time. Housing prices are the highest they've ever been. So they're being very choosy about what they buy. And if there's 2 houses for sale in your neighborhood, and your neighbor's house down the street has a new roof on it, has a new HVAC, and is kind of updated a little bit more than yours, and maybe they're priced a little bit more than you, they're probably going to actually pick the house down the street. They're going to pick that house because a lot of these buyers don't have the cash to come in and buy your house and then immediately within a year or 2 have to replace the roof and have to replace the HVAC system in the house or multiple HVAC systems. They don't have the money, they don't have the liquid cash to do that. because everyone's tapped out from all the inflation and all the price increases and this war on Iran and the Strait of Hormuz and all this stuff, and gas prices are at an all-time high, and insurance costs, and everything is more expensive than it's ever been in life. People don't have that excess cash today. So if you have enough equity in your house when you're selling it, you need to figure out a way to work in that deal, if you're going to list it the traditional fashion, to replace the carpet, to put a new HVAC system, put a new roof on it. There are ways you can escrow that as part of the closing. So you need to take that into account. And you cannot value your house the same as the guy down the street who has a better house than yours. It just doesn't work that way, guys. But you'd be surprised at how many people come to us every day and they want the same price as the neighbor down the street, but the neighbor's house is like 1,000 times nicer than theirs. And I'm like, it's not the same. It's apples to oranges, guys. So anyways, I hope this was helpful. I hope this kind of gives you an idea of where you can look. Again, hire a licensed appraiser, or at a minimum, get a BPO on it, broker's price opinion. If you have a house that you've inherited and you want to sell it as is, you don't want to mess with any of this. You just want to sell it to an investor. You want to, as Staples says with their commercials, press the easy button, right? That was their commercial they had for years. Brilliant marketing, by the way. If that's what you want to do, then reach out to an investor like us. We can also help you list it as well. Like I mentioned, I'm a licensed agent. So if you want to go that route, I'd be happy to talk to you about that. But if you just want a quick cash offer, that's what we do. That's what we've been doing for 10 years. That's what I have done for over, I think it's 350 sellers at this point in time in the last 10 years. If you want a cash offer on your house, go over to probatehouseguy.com, fill out the form there on the page, and a member of our team will call you back and we'll gather a few more pieces of information and hopefully set up an appointment with you to come see your house. So thanks again for checking out this video today. I'm Brad, the Probate House Guy. Have a great day. Bye-bye.